October 2000, Houston, Texas, a bustling city, home to millions, unaware of the darkness lurking beneath. Two women, two lives, connected by a shared name, Mary Morris, a name that would soon be etched in the annals of true crime. Their stories, though different, would soon intertwine. In a terrifying dance with death, Mary Lou Morris, a 48-year-old bank loan officer, a pillar of her community, little did she know, her life was about to be tragically cut short. Then, there was Mary McGinnis Morris, a 39-year-old nurse practitioner, dedicated to healing others. But fate had other plans. A cruel twist of fate. Their paths, once parallel, were about to collide, in the most horrific way imaginable. The first tragedy struck on October 12, 2000. It was a night like any other, the city wrapped in the usual hum of urban life, unaware of the horror about to unfold. Mary Lou Morris was found dead, inside her burned-out car. The scene was a grim testament to a violent end, the charred remains of the vehicle standing as a silent witness to the brutality. The flames, a macabre shroud, concealing a scene of unimaginable violence. The fire had done its job well, erasing traces, leaving behind only questions and a deep sense of dread. The news of her death sent shockwaves through the city. It was a story that dominated headlines, a tragedy that seemed too horrific to be real. Whispers of her name echoed in the streets. Conversations were hushed, eyes filled with fear and suspicion. The community was on edge, each person wondering if they could be next. Fear, like a virus, began to spread. Little did they know, the city was gripped by an invisible hand of terror, tightening its hold with each passing day. This was just the beginning. The darkness that had descended was only a prelude to a more sinister chapter. 3 days later, October 16, 2000, the city was still reeling from the first murder, trying to make sense of the senseless. The city's worst fears were confirmed. Another tragedy struck, deepening the wound that had barely begun to heal. Another Mary Morris was found dead. The eerie similarity was impossible to ignore, sending a fresh wave of panic through the community. This time, it was Mary McGinnis Morris, a beloved member of the community. Her death was a blow that struck at the heart of the city. The similarities were too eerie to ignore. Same name, similar circumstances. It was as if the city was caught in a nightmarish loop. Could this be a horrifying coincidence? The question hung in the air, unanswered, as detectives scrambled to piece together the puzzle. Or was there a more sinister force at play? The possibility of a calculated, malevolent force lurking in the shadows was a chilling thought. The city of Houston was now facing a chilling question, a question that gnawed at the collective psyche, leaving everyone on edge. Were these murders the work of a deranged mind obsessed with the name Mary Morris? Theories abounded, each more terrifying than the last. Or was there a more complex, more disturbing truth waiting to be uncovered? The search for answers had only just begun, and the city braced itself for what might come next. Mary Lou Morris, a woman of routine, a creature of habit. Her life, a tapestry woven with the threads of predictability. Every morning she would wake up at 6 a.m. sharp, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee filling her small apartment. She worked at a local bank, a loan officer they called her. A stickler for the rules, some might say. But Mary Lou took pride in her work, in the order it brought to her life, to the lives of others. After work, she'd return to her modest apartment, a small haven in a city that could feel so big. She'd spend her evenings reading, or maybe knitting, simple pleasures for a simple woman. Little did she know, this predictable rhythm of her life was about to be shattered. October 12, 2000, a day that began like any other in Houston. The sun rose, the traffic choked the highways, the city stirred awake, oblivious to the darkness that was about to unfold. Mary Lou woke up at her usual time, 6 a.m. sharp. The smell of coffee filled her apartment. She went through her morning routine with her usual precision: shower, coffee, toast, the familiar rhythm of her life. She left for work at 7:30 a.m., another day at the bank, another day of dealing with numbers and loan applications, another day in the life of Mary Lou Morris, or so she thought. She never made it to the bank that day. Her life, so meticulously ordered, was about to be thrown into chaos. Nightfall. The Houston sky, a bruised canvas of purple and orange, began to bleed into darkness. The air, thick with humidity, carried the distant wail of sirens, a call to something sinister. A plume of smoke rose in the distance, a beacon of tragedy in the growing darkness. A car fire, they said. Engulfed in flames, it cast an eerie glow on the faces of the onlookers. Their hushed whispers carried on the wind. Firefighters battled the blaze, their faces grim, illuminated by the inferno. The flames died down, revealing the charred skeleton of the car, and inside, a horrifying discovery. A body, burned beyond recognition. But the details, the few that remained, were enough to send a chill down the spines of the investigators. The news spread like wildfire. Whispered rumors turned into screaming headlines. Mary Lou Morris, found dead. Her burned-out car, a macabre monument to the city's worst fears. The police launched an investigation. Every clue, a piece in a macabre puzzle. But the fire had consumed much of the evidence, leaving behind more questions than answers. Who would do such a thing? And why? The questions hung heavy in the humid Houston air. The city held its breath, united in grief and fear. Little did they know this was just the beginning, the first act in a horrifying drama that was far from over. Mary McGinnis Morris, a name soon to be linked with tragedy. But Mary, she was different. A radiant soul, a beacon of hope in a world often shrouded in darkness. She dedicated her life to healing, a nurse practitioner. Her touch, a balm for the afflicted. Her smile, a ray of sunshine for the weary. She believed in the inherent goodness of humanity, a belief that would be put to the ultimate test. Her life, a stark contrast to the darkness that was about to engulf her. She was loved by her patients, adored by her colleagues. Her warmth, her kindness touched everyone she met. But fate, it seemed, had other plans for Mary McGinnis Morris. Plans shrouded in shadows, plans that would send shockwaves through Houston. October 16, 2000, just 3 days after the discovery of Mary Lou Morris's body, the city of Houston, still reeling from the shock, was about to be dealt another devastating blow. Mary McGinnis Morris left work that evening. Her shift at the hospital had been long, but she didn't mind. Helping others, that was her calling. Little did she know it would be her last act of compassion. As she walked towards her car, a strange feeling washed over her, a shiver down her spine, a prickling at the back of her neck. She dismissed it as fatigue, a figment of her imagination. She got into her car, unaware that she was being watched, unaware that she was about to become another statistic, another victim in a twisted game that no one understood. The discovery was made by a security guard, making his rounds in the desolate parking lot. His flashlight beam danced across the rows of cars, then it stopped. On a dark sedan, the engine still running. He approached cautiously, his heart pounding in his chest. Something wasn't right, he could feel it in his gut. He peered through the windshield, his blood ran cold. Mary McGinnis Morris, slumped over the steering wheel, her lifeless eyes stared vacantly into the night, her body, still. The security guard fumbled for his radio, his voice a shaky whisper, "I need backup, we have a situation here." The sirens wailed in the night, a chilling echo of the tragedy that had struck just days before. Another Mary Morris, another life extinguished. The city of Houston, already teetering on the edge, was about to be plunged into an abyss of fear. The similarities were too striking to be a coincidence. Two women, both named Mary Morris, both found dead in their cars within days of each other. The city of Houston was in a state of shock. Could this be the work of a deranged mind? A killer with a morbid fascination for the name Mary Morris? Or was there something more sinister at play? A connection that ran deeper than anyone could have imagined. The police were baffled. The evidence, though disturbing, offered no clear answers. The investigation was at a standstill. The city held its breath, waiting, watching, praying that the darkness that had descended upon them would soon lift. The investigation was a tangled web, each thread a dead end. Frustration mounted, theories flew, wild speculations, desperate attempts to make sense of the senseless. One theory emerged from the shadows, whispers of mistaken identity. Could it be? Had the killer targeted the wrong Mary Morris? An innocent life taken in a case of tragically misplaced vengeance? The theory had its proponents. After all, both women shared the same name. An unusual coincidence. But was it enough? The detectives were skeptical. The brutality of the murders suggested something more personal, more targeted. Could a simple case of mistaken identity truly explain the horrors inflicted upon these women? The question lingered in the air, a chilling possibility, but one that lacked the cold, calculated precision that seemed to define these murders. As days turned into weeks, the investigation took a new turn. The detectives were relentless, piecing together every shred of evidence, no matter how small. They combed through phone records, interviewed countless witnesses, and revisited the crime scenes multiple times. The pressure was mounting and the community was on edge. Rumors swirled, whispers of a hit gone wrong. The small town was rife with speculation, each theory more outlandish than the last. Some believed it was a case of mistaken identity, while others thought it was a deliberate act of vengeance. Had one of the Mary Morrises crossed paths with the wrong people? The idea that these women had somehow become targets of a sinister plot was both terrifying and perplexing. The detectives had to consider every possibility, no matter how improbable it seemed. Become entangled in a world of secrets and lies. The investigation revealed that both women had aspects of their lives that were not immediately apparent. Hidden connections, secret dealings, and unexplained interactions began to surface. Mary Lou Morris, with her job at the bank, had access to sensitive information. She was well respected in her community, but her position also made her privy to financial secrets that could be worth killing for. Could she have stumbled upon something she shouldn't have seen? Perhaps a money laundering scheme or an embezzlement plot? The possibilities were endless, and each one more dangerous than the last. Become a liability? A loose end that needed to be silenced? The fear in the community was palpable. If someone could target Mary Lou, who else might be in danger? Or was it Mary McGinnis Morris? Her life seemed equally complex and fraught with potential dangers. Her work as a nurse practitioner brought her into contact with a variety of people, some desperate, some dangerous. The medical field, while noble, also had its dark side. Could one of her patients have been involved in something sinister? The thought that someone she had tried to help could turn on her was a chilling possibility. Had she become an unwitting witness? Perhaps she had seen or heard something that put her life in jeopardy. The detectives had to dig deeper into her professional and personal life to uncover the truth. The possibility of a hit gone wrong was a chilling thought. It suggested a level of premeditation and cold-blooded intent that was hard to fathom. Someone had planned this meticulously, leaving nothing to chance. The precision of the act pointed to a professional hit, but the question remained, why? A cold, calculated act of violence, the kind that sends shivers down your spine. The detectives knew they were dealing with someone who had no qualms about taking a life. But who would order a hit on either of these women, and why? The answers were elusive, hidden in the shadows of a complex and dangerous web of deceit. The detectives had their work cut out for them, but they were determined to bring the truth to light, no matter the cost. The investigation delved deeper into the murky underworld of Houston, organized crime, a world where loyalty was bought and sold, where life was cheap, and where silence was golden. Could one of the Mary Morrises have become entangled in this dangerous web? Perhaps an unpaid debt, or a secret that threatened to unravel a criminal enterprise? The possibilities were endless. The detectives interviewed informants, scoured financial records, followed trails of money that led to dead ends and hidden accounts. Every step forward seemed to be met with 2 steps back. The shadow of organized crime loomed large over the investigation, a sinister force that seemed to permeate every aspect of the case. But was it a red herring, a distraction from the truth? Or was organized crime the key to unlocking the mystery of the Mary Morris murders? As the investigation dragged on, a new theory began to take shape. A theory so disturbing, so unsettling, that it sent chills down the spines of even the most hardened detectives. What if the murders weren't random? What if they weren't a case of mistaken identity or a hit gone wrong? What if there was a more sinister connection between the 2 Mary Morrises? The detectives began to notice eerie similarities between the 2 women. Their physical appearances, though not identical, shared striking resemblances. Their backgrounds too held intriguing parallels. Could it be that the killer had targeted these women specifically because of their shared name and physical characteristics? Was this a twisted game of doppelgangers? A macabre obsession with eliminating every woman who bore the name Mary Morris? The investigation into the Mary Morris murders reached a standstill. Despite countless hours of investigation, thousands of leads pursued, and a city on edge, the case remained unsolved. The theories continued to circulate: mistaken identity, a hit gone wrong, organized crime, a sinister connection. Each theory offered a glimpse into a possible explanation, but none could definitively solve the puzzle. The Mary Morris murders became a haunting reminder of the darkness that could lurk beneath the surface of even the most vibrant city. The case, though cold, remained open, a testament to the enduring power of mystery and the insatiable human need for answers. Months turned to years. The initial frenzy of the investigation subsided, the headlines faded, but the questions lingered. Like ghosts in the humid Houston air, the detectives once so driven were now haunted by the lack of answers, by the weight of two unsolved murders. They chased down every lead, no matter how small, no matter how improbable. They interviewed and re-interviewed witnesses, hoping for a breakthrough, a new detail, a slip of the tongue, anything that could break the case wide open. But the answers remained elusive. The killer or killers had vanished, leaving behind a trail of devastation and a city forever scarred. Years later, a cold case, gathering dust. But the detectives refused to give up. They clung to every shred of hope, every new forensic technique, every advance in DNA technology. Then, a glimmer of hope. A partial DNA profile, extracted from a cigarette butt found near one of the crime scenes. It was a long shot, but it was something. The detectives ran the profile through the national database, hoping for a match, a name, a face, a connection. The wait was agonizing, but the database search yielded no results. The DNA profile belonged to an unknown individual. The glimmer of hope faded, leaving the detectives back at square one. Despite the setbacks, the detectives pressed on, driven by a sense of duty, and a need to bring closure to the families of Mary Lou Morris and Mary McGinnis Morris. They revisited old leads, re-examined evidence, hoping that a fresh perspective might reveal something they had overlooked. They reached out to other law enforcement agencies, sharing information, looking for similar cases, hoping to find a connection that could help crack the Mary Morris murders wide open. But the walls seemed to be closing in. The trail had gone cold. The leads had dried up. The case, once again, seemed destined to remain unsolved. Today, the Mary Morris murders remain one of Houston's most baffling unsolved cases. The killer, or killers, have never been brought to justice. The families of Mary Lou Morris and Mary McGinnis Morris are left with unanswered questions, haunted by the loss of their loved ones, and the knowledge that their killer walks free. The Mary Morris murders serve as a chilling reminder of the random nature of violence, and the limitations of even the most dedicated law enforcement efforts. The mystery endures, a haunting testament to the fact that some cases, no matter how diligently investigated, may never be solved. The Mary Morris murders cast a long shadow over Houston. A chilling reminder that evil can lurk in the most unexpected places, that even in a bustling city of millions, darkness can find you. The case, though cold, continues to fascinate and horrify. A macabre puzzle with missing pieces, a story whispered in hushed tones, a cautionary tale passed down through generations. For some it's a ghost story, a campfire tale told to send shivers down spines. But for those who knew Mary Lou Morris and Mary McGinnis Morris, it's a tragedy that continues to haunt their waking hours. The city has moved on, but the memory lingers, a scar on the collective consciousness, a reminder that some wounds never truly heal. The Mary Morris murders remain an open investigation. Despite the passage of time, the case continues to baffle both the public and law enforcement. The brutal and mysterious nature of these crimes has left an indelible mark on the community, and the quest for justice is far from over. A testament to the dedication of law enforcement officers who refuse to let the case fade into obscurity. These officers, driven by a sense of duty and a commitment to the victims and their families, tirelessly sift through old evidence, hoping to uncover new leads. Their determination is unwavering even as the years go by. Advances in DNA technology offer a glimmer of hope. With each passing year, forensic science makes strides that were once thought impossible. The ability to analyze even the smallest trace of genetic material has revolutionized the way cold cases are approached. The possibility that one day, a match will be found. A breakthrough in the lab could provide the crucial evidence needed to identify the perpetrator. This hope keeps the investigation alive, fueling the efforts of those who refuse to give up. A name, a face. These are the pieces of the puzzle that investigators long to find. A suspect who can be brought to justice, providing answers to the questions that have haunted so many for so long. A chance to finally bring closure to a city haunted by the unknown. The community, united in their grief and hope, gathers to remember the victims and to support the ongoing search for truth. Their collective strength is a beacon in the darkness. Until then, the questions remain. Each piece of evidence, each witness statement is a thread in a complex tapestry that has yet to be fully unraveled. The detectives, with their keen instincts and relentless pursuit of justice, continue to seek the answers that have eluded them for so long, whispered in the wind that sweeps across the Texas plains. The vast open landscape holds its own secrets, echoing the unresolved mysteries of the case. The natural beauty of the plains stands in stark contrast to the dark events that have transpired. Echoing in the silence of the long nights, the quiet streets and suburban neighborhoods, once scenes of normalcy, now carry the weight of unanswered questions. The stillness of the night is a reminder of the lives forever changed by these tragic events. A constant reminder that the truth, though often elusive, is still out there. The detectives, the families, and the community hold on to the belief that one day, the pieces will come together. The search for answers is a journey that continues, driven by hope and determination. Perhaps one day someone will come forward with the missing piece of the puzzle. A tip, a confession, or a new piece of evidence could be the key to unlocking the mystery. The hope that someone, somewhere holds the answer is a powerful motivator. A witness, a confidant, someone who knows more than they have shared. The courage to come forward could change everything, bringing justice and closure to those who have waited so long. Someone with information that could finally bring justice for Mary Lou Morris and Mary McGinnis Morris. The stories of these two women, forever linked by their tragic fates, deserve to be told in full. Their families deserve answers, and their memories deserve justice. Until that day, the mystery of the Mary Morris murders will continue to fascinate, horrify, and inspire hope that even in the darkest corners of the human experience, the truth has the power to prevail. The search for answers is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the enduring quest for justice.